I was observing a conversation between two people who were focusing on food and weight. That's where their focus was.
Okay.
And so I know for certain that the other one has tried every last little thing. And when I say try, like you try it until you get hungry, right? And then they go back to what they were doing before and they're like, oh, the diet failed because, it lasted for like whatever, like a day or so, but then the donuts got exciting. So anyway, so I know that as a backdrop. So to this conversation, I was hearing them talk about their goals. And the one woman who I know just doesn't stick with anything, because it's much more fun to wallow the other way, was saying, I don't really want to I don't need to be a size 12 or a size 10 anymore. That's ridiculous. I just want to be able to walk. I'm like, well, I feel like that's a low bar. It feels low. So as I'm listening to this, I was thinking this about self-hypnosis, how you've chosen a goal that allows you to continue poor behavior that some part of is poor behavior, but because the goal, all I'm doing is trying to be able to breathe. And
Oh
therefore I
my.
can all, so I have this conundrum between, you want people to choose goals that are meaningful and challenging, and it's meaningful and challenging to them and their perspective, not me and my perspective. But on the other hand, your mind is so good at thinking of excuses and just lowering the bar, so you think you're doing something, but really I feel like our bar could be a little higher. So your goal is allowing you to continue your poor behavior. And now you've allowed yourself to believe that, well, you're doing everything you can because the goal is just to breathe. I mean, what? What are you getting all upset about? So I'm just interested in this concept of, I don't know, maybe it's not self-hypnosis, but the what we tell ourselves and what we allow ourselves to believe as a lie to continue in the poor behavior that is taking us down. You know what I mean? It's kind of like all in there. So I wanted to,
Uh,
what do you think about that?
oh, it's like it reminds me of this time that I crashed the Subaru, the blue Subaru. Okay. So I was driving back from
Did you?
Snowville to Radford,
Okay.
Virginia on a wet night, and I was upset, and I was going too fast on an unfamiliar road. And there came a turn, and this turn was sharp turn to the right, like about 90 degrees. And I tried to slow down, but I was going too fast, and I slowed down. And then I'm like, there's all these calculations and thoughts that are going through your head as you're crashing the car. Okay. And it's like this. I think I can, if I go in the other lane, it's really not really 2 lanes wide. It's really maybe a lane and a half wide. It's not a wide road. And it's like, if I just go in the other lane, maybe I can make this turn. And then it's like, no, I don't think so. And then it's like, well, maybe I can avoid the farmer's fence post. Yes. And maybe I can avoid the tree. And that's pretty good, right? That's like, it's the same thing, right? So it's like you're continuously adjusting the dial and calculating the expense, because it's like expense. It's when we're making trades, and we're making a conversation in our head that justifies the expense and the
Mm.
outcome that we're getting, right? So you're like you're trying to make a peaceful settlement with yourself for the choices that you're making. And you have to be at peace, otherwise you're just tormented all the time, right? And so so you don't get to pick how other people decide their values that they're going to.
No, exactly
It's
correct.
okay. If they think that walking is good enough, well, then I guess it is. Because
But my,
whatever they say, is good enough is good enough.
and that's where the self-hypnosis comes,
That's
because I
right.
think you could convince yourself to keep dialing that back to good enough now becomes, I'm blinking.
Oh my.
But when you were over at this other place, well, okay, so maybe the goal is I'm not going to be an astronaut, okay? Because maybe that goal is a little bit over here. But on the other hand, maybe we can do something better than I just want to be able to walk. But maybe if I'm somebody who has knee pain or issues, maybe being able to walk that 3 miles is a pretty important and significant goal that really motivates them. So the question I wanted to consider for my clients was really about, really taking a hard look at what you're saying and what you're agreeing to. You're making it in your terms, taking a hard look at that deal you've made between being comfortable and the expense you're going to have to spend. Because
Right.
what I've seen the
So
person
it's
do
like
is continually dial back to something easier that
right.
allows
So
wallowing.
you might have them explore the values that they're talking about, like you know, walking. That's not too ambitious, right? And it's like, is that how far walking, and how often, how fast, or whatever, and that allows you to do what, you know what I mean? And it's like they're explore the value that's added, which is I get to eat whatever I want or something like that, right?
And, I think you're onto something here because I could also ask people to envision, okay, let's say you've reached your goal. You've reached your goal. You can walk. Is that, are you happy? Are we satisfied? Is that sufficiently motivating? And so maybe envisioning that end state, which is what you're saying. And maybe the answer is, yeah, I would be, if I could climb Mount McKinley, that would be great. So maybe that's it. Maybe it is helping people vision, because you're right. It's totally individual. It's not what I think about it at all.
That's right. The other issue will be something to the effect of, what pain, what pains are you willing to take to achieve your goal? And what pains are you not willing to take to achieve your goal? It's like, I think this dieting thing is funny because it is like, it's just that diet was not, uh, it was not, it didn't sit well with me, so I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, right? That's how I gauge that one.
And it's interesting because, and you've probably seen this in your practice, at the beginning of X diet, whatever it is, and I have this person in my mind, she would talk about, these are all the 10 reasons why this is great. And I'm all excited. And this is just going to be so amazing. And I love it because it does all these things for me. Fast forward a week. No, I'm not doing it at all. And I'm talking about investment of not just, shopping differently and eating differently. I'm talking about investment of joining a particular program or buying these particular so it's not without monetary cost as well as just the resources. But then that enthusiasm for it when it gets hard, or when it feels hard because you're giving up something, when that trade feels, I can't have that cream filled donut because it's not on whatever. When that feels difficult and hard, then we're like,
Right. So there will be like an exploration there to consider what is it that is making it difficult. What is because there's emotional investment here, like your enthusiasm, right? But it's like the issue is this is what makes you fail, and it's like oh, that, think about this one is like that diet didn't work for me, right? It's like
mm.
that statement is false. Okay. No, it's like this. So I talk to smokers about this, right? The smokers are like this. They go, I like dealing with smokers because it's fun to mess with them. Okay. And it goes like this. The smokers like this. I'm like, they're in my office, and I'm like, so how long do you quit smoking? Oh, I still smoke. No, no, no. You're not smoking right now. You quit. You quit. You're not smoking. Not right now. How long has it been since you had a cigarette? Right? Then it's like they're like, because it's like, you know what I mean? You're not giving them signals that match the narrative that they have in their own mind. Because it's like, look, say you haven't smoked for 7 years and you pick up a cigarette now. Are you smoking again? Well, right now I am, but then I can stop smoking again and I don't have to pick another one up. Right? So it's like that diet didn't work for me, which is, you mean you quit the diet? You're not trying to do that diet anymore.
What do you find, if you had to think about the reasons, like why do people quit? Like, so I know you work with your folks on this. So what is the reason that they offer, reasons, whether you believe them or not, whatever? What is the intellectualization of the reasons why they quit?
Quitting, or what do you
Quit
mean?
the diet. Like the diet didn't work for me. And like, oh,
I
because it,
don't care.
No, but what do they offer you is what I'm interested in. What do they say? It just didn't fit, or it
No,
was too.
yeah, it's just like it doesn't work for me, or I can't do that, or they'll say things that are false that are like I can't. Okay, they don't say I won't,
Mm,
which is
okay.
so it
It's a
willfulness.
choice.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right. So it's like you have to turn it back into being their willful decision-making process that is causing them to behave the way they choose to behave. And people will invariably seek to make everything passive voice, which it wasn't me. The diet failed, right? Oh, the diet failed. Why? Because you didn't follow it. It's like the trail, the road to DC failed because I got lost. I ended up in Minnesota.
Okay.
The
I
road
think that's
failed.
right.
Oh, right?
But it gets back to this, and I think the connection to this book we're talking about is connected here, is because it's these stories people make up in their mind to justify where they are. So we're talking about in this book this how to deal with on the spot, unprepared, difficult people that are presenting something difficult. And I can think of any reason to act in a particular way if I don't have control of my mind. So it's that being able to be in control of my thinking process, not letting my thinking process control me. So when I'm in that situation, I'm like, oh no, I know what to do. It's not fear. I'm not afraid of anything or how anyone perceives me. This is how I need to act.
Right. Right. It is like it comes, I think being able to do that, you have to recognize your own internal narratives and then manage them. When you can manage your own internal narrative, then you can posit a social narrative, which is what conversation is.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Best Medicine Podcast with Bradley H. Werrell, D.O. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe below, either over there or over there. Also, if you're interested in a medical consultation with myself, there's also information below.